Actually, why don't we give everybody another minute or so? It seems like there's probably still people coming.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so I had a quick chat with Meher earlier this week, actually last week. And just because this is such an early call for him, I offered to kind of kick the meeting off so that he can wake up a little bit and we can share the load a bit. And if anybody else, is really enthusiastic about doing that, then we're invite that as well. So you can expect me to be on the call at the beginning, and Meher, we may actually even want to swap out the Zoom call if you want it to be my Zoom call, something like that. But we can talk about that offline.
Yeah, sure.
Since the last, at the end of last meeting, there was a request for a chat channel. There is an internal chat channel that the Interchain GmbH team uses, but we thought it was better to kind of separate Substrate IBC and just kind of encourage that team to be active in a Discord channel. So we created one of those. The link is in the HackMD. So there's a Substrate-IBC new channel there. I've notified people at Web3, Course One, Informal, Interchain GmbH, and hope that has some activity and that any questions can be answered in there. So one thing that I added was a specific breakdown of the ICS numbers and their kind of assignments within existing contracts right now. So I've listed them out here. I won't go into a whole lot of detail. This doesn't include, we're interested in a bilateral bridge between Substrate using Grandpa and Cosmos using Tendermint. Obviously, a lot of that infrastructure on the Cosmos side has been built out, and much of that has been done by the Interchain GmbH team. There's also a Go relayer that's now being maintained by Jack at Akash. So that's not listed here, but in order to kind of complete the bilateral bridge, there's a substantial amount of work that needs to be done for within Substrate. So Informal is working on a set of kind of agnostic Rust handlers that the ICSs are listed here. Those will likely be deployed in different environments, but the plan is to use those within Substrate. Course One likely has some additional items here, but these are just the specific ICSs, I think. But yeah, so they're doing a bunch of work in the Cosmos SDK, and then they've been working with Informal's light client, and then they are also working on a relayer between the two different chain types. And CDOT is picking up a number of the other ICSs and working on a grandpa to grandpa relayer, and is also going to be kind of incorporating a lot of the work that both Informal and Course One are doing. So there's very likely some small gaps just with kind of cleaning everything up, testing it, making sure that everything works. This also doesn't include the kind of application level specifications, so token transfers and things like that. Those we may need to kind of discuss amongst this group. But I just thought this was a nice reference for everyone to kind of be clear on what's out there and how it's being broken up at the moment. Hopefully this kind of arrangement and separation of concerns will work out, but we are open to kind of adjusting as needed as kind of expertise are leveraged. So yeah, that's if there's any questions about that, I just wanted to make sure that was kind of like well known within the group.
One question I have, Sam, is how do you see the timing for the entire project play out amongst these parties? Because yeah, like especially when you look at like Terra, they want a bridge in a certain time frame. So how does that get worked out when?
Yeah, this is honestly one of the most difficult kind of aspects of coordinating with all these teams, is just understanding, approximating what the timeline for all of this looks like. So Sean, you may want to correct me if I'm wrong here, but so first of all, the Tendermint Lite client is nearing a 1.0. This will be compiled to Rust, compiled to WASM, sorry, written in Rust, compiled to WASM. And that's kind of imminent. The remainder of their work, I believe you're aiming for, prior to the end of the year, hopefully a little bit earlier than that, for the remaining kind of handlers portion.
Yeah, end of the year is kind of like the target.
Cool. We would like for, this is going to be a little bit tricky because, ultimately we want this to be integrated into Substrate. So, how to kind of do this without it, how to do that without it being a blocker is going to be somewhat of a task. We are hoping that that CDOT has a bit of this kind of scaffolded out in a very kind of rough way, and that we can they can potentially focus on the other ICS portions of the work, and then track the interfaces that Informal will be exposing, and then integrate when Informal is ready. And Meher, maybe you can say a word about your timeline for course one's items.
I mean, as per this list, if you look at like the things that are in there, we are kind of, we are nearing completion of these items, right? These will be shipped as part of our phase one. Now maybe there are improvements to it that we could target, but if it's this list, then I don't think the timeline bottleneck is on our side.
Yeah, that's my impression as well. As we discussed, Mayor, there's also potentially some more work on your side, and we're kind of in discussions about what that might look like. So, improvements to the relayer between Grandpa and Tendermint, and those are kind of TBD. So hopefully we'll be able to finalize a little bit of the extra lift that's required for the SDK and for that relayer. And again, I don't think that's blocking necessarily. So if there's, yeah, any other questions before we move on to band? No? Okay, I don't know why it got deleted from this
Yeah,
list.
so band actually sent me an email saying they had some scheduling constraints
Okay.
this Tuesday, and they would like to present next Tuesday. So I've kind of moved it onto next week.
Gotcha. Okay, well, that was the main thing that we had scheduled for this this week. That is a little bit unfortunate, but maybe we can use this time for a little bit more of a strategic discussion, or to discuss timelines for some of the projects that are in this chat. You know, when is kind of IBC something that, or between it, Substrate and the Cosmos SDK, something that teams here would be looking to integrate? What timeline makes sense for those here? Do we have in the chat?
Who are we waiting on? Where's the answer coming from?
Well, so I see we have at least one from Agoric here. I don't know that we have that many other chains. So Band was supposed to be here to kind of like do a presentation and field questions, I guess.
Yeah. Hey, I'm Sweet from Band, so I'm very sorry. So yeah, we have some schedule conflict. Then the engineer who was supposed to be presenting here is not available, unfortunately. So yeah, I can't get a call right now, but yeah, would like to move the presentation to next week.
That's not a problem. Maybe you could say a word about what your timeline looks like for IBC integration, particularly with.
Yeah, honestly, we want to move as quickly as possible. Right now, we even have our own kind of like a small like client bridge. I mean, we do this on all different blockchains, right? On Ethereum, for example, we do it on Substrate as well. It's quite hacky and semi-centralized, but you know, the faster we can have the IBC working. I mean, not even just IBC Substrate, but the IBC Cosmos working, the better. So for us, you know, as quickly as we can. But other than that, you know, we understand that, you know, it's something that we need coordination from multiple parties. So yeah.
Okay. Does anyone else want to comment on their kind of their roadmap for integration?
So to me, it seems like informal targeting the end of the year for the handlers, and then presuming that C dot builds in a way that their integration of informal handlers is really easy when they are delivered. This seems something like, yeah, Q1 of next year is when we do have a working Cosmos Substrate bridge, and then there's probably some kind of testnet, like some kind of testnet or some kind of event once that is ready. So maybe the practical timeline is maybe, I don't know, February of next year or end of Q1 of next year.
Mm-hmm.
And that can be set as an expectation for the teams that are looking to use this technology, essentially.
I have a quick random question about the IBC. Like when not sure if this is the right time, but just a question. Like when you do relay message, right? Like the relayer is the one paying the transaction fee. Like is this gonna be always be the case, or how do we deal with that, or is it just like way out of the scope? For like, you know, like for band, for example, right? When you request data, then someone got to pay for the fee. But now it's like the relayer is the one paying fee because they relay the message and what, right? Just wonder, or is it, the chain specific thing, you need to have the incentive for the relayer to get something with the relay message or what?
So I can answer this, or Chris, you are welcome to answer this if you're around.
Yeah, sorry, can you restate the question? I didn't quite understand.
The question is it's just like right now relayer is paying for gas. Is that gonna always be the case? What if, the gas prices are very expensive? Let's say the competition is very complex. Do we need to have kind of like another layer for relayer to kind of like reimburse the
Oh, I see. Sorry. The answer to that question is that it's possible to architect application protocols on top of IBC, which would refund the fee to the relayer. So there's a description of this in an ICS issue. I can find it and add it to the agenda document for this meeting. But basically, it would be possible for people to include a little fee in the transaction, which would end up going back to the relayer. This is designed it's not in the core protocol because it can easily be built as an application spec, and because we expect that the incentive models for different applications will be different. Like if a wallet is operating a relayer, the wallet might kind of amortize the fees across a bunch of their transactions or something like that. So they might just charge fees at a different point and then relay for you for free. But it's also certainly plausible that some applications would want to put fee reimbursements directly in the packet.
I see. Makes sense. Okay.
I mean, there's also the possibility that the person who initiates the transaction might also initiate the relayer transaction, in which they are personally paying for the fee on both accounts, so that it's not a third party relaying it, but it's actually the original user itself, right?
Right. So that's quite possible. I mean, a scheme which would provide fee refunds is outlined on issue 411 on the ICS repository, and it can be implemented as an application protocol. This would actually be a great hackathon project or a trial project if someone's interested in it. It's pretty straightforward.
Okay. Yeah, I see. That makes sense. Yeah, I'll read more about that. Yeah.
Yeah, the idea was we wanted to see some usage of IBC to get a sense of what applications are needed. And likely at the very beginning, blocks will not be full on Cosmos Hub and other chains. So things should be relatively cheap. And there's a bit of time to iterate on that. But it is something kind of on our roadmap for this quarter, next quarter, to start thinking about this and developing some of the ICSs and prototypes.
I see.
One question I would have for Band is, given that you're looking to relay all of this pricing data, is it the case that you want to relay pricing data to another chain and it's defined that it has to be relayed every X blocks after each other? So, block 100, then block 105, then 110, 115. Is there a temporal structure to your relay needs, or is it?
Yeah, that is a good question. Actually, the way we structure band for IBC is not as for reference data. It's more like Q&A, right? So basically, a chain can send a packet. We call it a request packet, right? A relay to band chain. That will be like a question, asking for price. It's like asking for what data and some other security parameters, and then band chain will basically work to resolve that data. We have our validators go fetch data for you and then verify that it is correct, and then we send the packet back to your blockchain basically as a response packet. So basically the other chain send a packet like in terms of high level, right? Send packet to band chain, and then a few seconds later we send packet back. It will work like that. But if the chain really wants reference data, then they can, for example, every n block, let's say every 10 blocks, they send request packet to band chain, right? And band chain response packet. So by no means it's specific to band chain that, we push data every period, but more like that chain every period asks data from band chain, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. So there's like a service level agreement kind of thing where you can ask for a stream for a month or something.
Yeah. Whenever you send a request packet, then we respond with the response packet, basically. Yeah.
So in this case, all of the fee payment can be done by the chain that's asking for the data.
Yeah. So I'm not sure about IBC yet, because we are not quite 100% sure how it will work. But for the non-IBC, it works a little bit differently. So on the non-IBC flow, basically you send a request message to band chain, right? So the structure is very similar to request packet, but it works as a message instead. And then you pay for gas, right? That message will have gas cost depending on the complexity, how many validators needing to work on it and what, right? And once it is resolved, the result is saved onto band chain as one of the store prefix, right? And then having that on band chain, you can kind of like present it to any other chain that track the validated the set of band chain. So basically you prove that this thing is actually on band chain. So as a smart contract on Ethereum, you got to trust it. That's the flow on the non-IBC flow, if that makes sense.
Right. So on the non-IBC flow on Ethereum, if I'm a user or a dApp that wants the price point, I pay all the gas fees. Band processes part of the loop and then returns the result, but the sender pays for gas. And presumably even for IBC, it's the same structure, except the messages are not on one chain; they are like crossing two chains.
Yeah. So right now the relayer basically pay for gas. So relayer submit like the message packet containing the request packet is quite similar to arbitrary user submit like a request message to band chain. Yeah, it works very similarly. It's just that if you send a request message to band chain, you don't have the field saying when to respond to the request, what IBC channel you send it to. You just save it to band chain. But if it comes as an IBC packet, you also have another extra two fields, the channel and the port or whatever, to say that once it is resolved, then emit the commitment, saying that send the response back or something.
Yeah, I think the simplest way to sort of avoid a relayer being responsible for the fees, it would, from a user perspective, be really similar to the flow in Ethereum that often it requires two transactions to transfer tokens. First, you have to approve, and then second, you have to actually execute the contract, which makes that transfer. So in this scenario, a user would sign a transaction to initiate, and then they would sign a follow-up transaction, which would be the relayer transaction coming from their account. It would come from their gas as well.
I guess that makes sense.
I mean, it's not a great user experience, but it is something that would prevent the relayer from being off the hook, and doesn't require any of the more complicated fee remittance, which has been discussed as a possible extension. So that's just sort of an option out of the box. But I would also agree that it's not an ideal final scenario.
Yeah, like without changing the Cosmos SDK code, it will be like the relayers still pay for fee, right? But they can kind of take the reimbursement, the redemption from whoever the request packet say is the original sender of the request packet or something.
Another thing it sounds like you might want to consider, although I'm not sure if my mental model of your protocol is totally accurate, is separating the fee payments in time from the actual transaction. So if you have some kind of subscription service where you know ahead of time what packets are going to be sent, maybe you want to pay the fee all at once, or have the subscriber pay the fee all at once, and then just disperse little bits to the relayer as they relay the packets. That should be possible to do with something like protocol outlined in issue 411 and some initial protocol on your end that deals with the initial fee payment and then just slowly disperses it to whatever relayer relays the actual packets. That's probably much more in line with what eventually would make for the kind of user experience you want, right? The user doesn't really want to have to worry about all of these fees all the time. They want to just pay once for their subscription. Get everything done with. There is a little bit of risk in what the gas markets do this, so it depends a bit on how the chains work from that perspective. But I expect that we'll see a lot of fee protocols or fee solutions in IBC that look a little like this, at least that offset the fee payment from the actual packets, because the UX of paying for each individual packet is not as good as the UX of just paying a fee once for some, guaranteed delivery over time. Does that make sense? Does that concept make sense?
Yeah, makes sense. We actually consider paying in a different level as well, but we just don't do it for now due to complexity. I think it's more simpler to just pay for gas right now. But yeah, we do have the idea of like having multiple some service provider on us actually prefer stable coin, for example. Yeah.
It sounds like a really great test case, actually, and if we can kind of specify this well, I know the IBC team at Intrain Gateway High is kind of looking for concrete uses. So if you want to kind of stay in touch with Chris about that might kind of shape an initial stab at a incentivization model.
Okay, yeah, that'd be great. Okay. Yeah, we honestly, we are not sure about how much effort do we focus on IBC at the moment. Because we spent a lot of effort during the previous hackathon, I think back in June, but then it turns out we kind of need to stop on it because we are not sure about the future of it. I know it will happen, but just not sure about the timeline. So yeah, but yeah, happy to get in touch. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely let us know. Feel free to open issues on the ICS repo or just send us documents that describe your use case. We can reason through it, help you out.
Okay. But yeah, we will present how Banchain works during the next call. Hopefully with the visual and what to make it more understandable than just me keep throwing stuff. Yeah.
Cool. I don't want to keep people here longer than they need to be. But if there is any kind of substantive question, discussion that people want to raise right now, then it's a good time. One thing I can say is that our best estimates for IBC within the Cosmos ecosystem is going to be prior to the end of the year, hopefully something more like November. And then, yeah, we're looking at a couple more months for the Substrate implementation. So it's around the corner.
So when you when you said November, what is the milestone you mean? You mean the Stargate being made ready, or more like the first real testnet, or what?
Hoping that Stargate will be complete, live on the hub by the end of November. That's the conservative estimate is maybe a little bit later, but that's the date that Zaki's been working with, who's been coordinating the testnets. So that's our best understanding at this point.
I see.
And others could potentially upgrade even faster if they wanted to. I imagine many chains will kind of want to see that the hub has done that successfully and then migrate over. Cool. Should we wrap up then? Great. Thanks everybody for taking the time. Yeah, we'll have a presentation from Band next time. And is anyone else interested in presenting a use case that maybe hasn't been reflected in discussions thus far? Vanessa, I definitely would be interested in hearing a bit from Agoric side on what how they plan to interact with Substrate. So if you're around, maybe you could relay that.
Yeah, I mean, we're focused on getting Alpha API out and a few other things. So our intentions with IBC Substrate use cases would, I think, kind of be more like abstract discussions. I think we'd have something more substantial to say in a couple of weeks. And I think you all know that it's 3 a.m. or 4 a.m. now, 3:30 for them generally. So I could present something next time. I mean, once we're ready in a couple of weeks.
Okay. Sounds good.
So just maybe before close out, like, so the teams Snow4 and Interlay and Informal, they are also interested to present, but all of them have said sometime in September. So I'll put in some rough dates in there, but yeah, it may not be the next call.
Okay. Well, yeah, let's close then, and we'll have presentations from Band next week. And I'd also encourage, you know, CDOT, Informal, Course One, if you have any just high-level milestones that you want to just kind of make this group aware of, then that would also be helpful for next week. All right, thanks everybody.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.